Well, hello, and welcome back to Island Bowls Live. I'm Jeff Poulton, and it's my mission to try and get you to try lawn bowling. Now, why am I standing way back here? Well, I'll tell you why. I got an email the other day from Harold. Harold bowls out of the Palo Alto Lawn Bowling Club there in Palo Alto, California. Shout out, Harold. And by the way, the Palo Alto Lawn Bowling Club was established in 1933, if you can believe it. Pretty old. You can join that club for 165 bucks. Are you kidding me? 165 bucks? Wow. New members, or sorry, returning members, even a lower membership price. And they will give you a free lesson or two if you ask them nicely enough. So listen, if you're in that area, you want to check out lawn bowling, go to Harold's club, Palo Alto Lawn Bowling Club. Harold emailed me with a question I think we all have. He's struggling with consistent line and weight. Yes, we do. I don't know of a bowler, an amateur bowler, that doesn't struggle with line and weight. He asked me whether I could do a couple of videos, one on line and one on weight. The reality is they kind of both go together. But I do have a practice I do to try and get my line consistent, get my confidence up. And I have a separate practice I do for weight. So I'm going to split these two up. Today we're talking about getting the line right. That's the line you want to take your bowl to the jack or to wherever your skip wants it. So why am I standing way back here? Because when I first started lawn bowling, I was told you use either this boundary marker or this boundary marker as your line of aim. And I did that for the first several months, and it never sat well with me. Why? It's too darn far away, and trying to draw that, anyway, I decided not to try that, and I've been experimenting with my line of aim ever since. I've settled on something that I think really works for me, and I wonder if it'll work for you too. It all started with a book that I was gifted. The book was published in 1972, and I have the publication that was published in 1975, 50 years old. And in the book, it went to great lengths about how you can discover your right line. And so I've adapted some of what it said in that book, and I'm going to bring that to your attention today. And then I'll let you know kind of what I've learned along the way. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, can you see me better? It's a long way back there. First, some caveats. Obviously, with your line of aim, it's going to depend highly on the type of conditions you're bowling on, whether that green is fast or slow. Here on the island, Vancouver Island, I bowl out of the Victoria Bowls and Croquet Club. Yeah, pretty slow. You know, I would say it's between maybe 10 and a half and 11 and a half seconds. Completely different than if you were bowling in the Southern Hemisphere, say in Australia, where those greens can be 16, 17 seconds long. It also, of course, depends on the type of bowl you have. I'm rolling Tiger Henselite. Now I can tell you, the Henselite bias chart will tell you that these are the widest bias bowl, but here on our 10.5 to 11.5 second greens, they're not the widest bias. You'll notice that they're pretty narrow. Okay, all that being said, I think that there are kind of three critical things you need to worry about when you're trying to get your line of aim consistent. First one is, without question, know thy bowl. Because my reference point for my line of aim is where this bowl's shoulder is, where it begins to come off of its initial trajectory and begin to break towards the center line, the jack. The only way you know how to do that is to get to know your bowl well. A quick story. So I was playing soccer, I've played soccer forever, and fell into coaching. Which I thoroughly enjoyed, by the way. And I was coaching a U13 girls team. And they were terrific, very talented players. But they would come to me and say, Coach Jeff, why are we practicing so much? We want to play more. And I'd say to them, well, in a 90-minute soccer game, how long do you think that soccer ball is at your feet? If it's more than 30 to 60 seconds, I'd be surprised in the entire game. The second question I had for them is, how many touches do you take with that soccer ball in a game? I counted, on average between 35 and 45 touches of the ball. Now in training, you'll have that ball at your feet for 45 or 50 minutes. You'll touch the ball at least 400 or 500 times. That's why training is important, practice. So it is with long bowls. It's, in my opinion, you learn your weight and your line through practice. I try to roll 200 bowls a week just in practice. And my ratio is 3 practice to 1 game. Now look, I don't always hit that ratio clearly, but that's my objective, because it's only through the knowledge of your bowl that you will get to your line and weight consistency. Okay, so we've established the fact that you got to know thy bowl, and you've got to know exactly where it's going to break on your forehand and on your backhand. The second critical thing is what you do as part of your process. Pre-mat, on-mat, post-mat. Those 3 things are critical. So I'm going to walk you through what my process is. Pre-mat, that's before I get on the mat. I have visualized where my skip wants that bowl to end up. And by the way, often it's not on the jack. It could be behind the jack, it could be beside the jack. Critically, I tell my skip, I want to know exactly where he wants the bowl to end up. Put your foot down so I can actually visualize it. So that's the first thing I do. I visualize my bowl's path to that skip's placement or the jack. Okay. The second thing I do is I focus my energy now on where that break point is. That's my pre-mat routine. Visualize, focus. When I'm on the mat, I take one more look at my skip's foot or where the skip wants my bowl to end and visualize one more time. I sort of take a picture of that. Then I focus back on my line of aim. And at this point, I do not break my gaze from that line, whatever goes on. Now, during a game, you get distracted. If I find myself distracted and I suddenly lose focus on my line of aim, I will step off the mat and start again. Once I'm on the mat, I don't take my eye off that line of aim. The third critical factor for me is my follow-through. I can't tell you how many times I've messed up my bowl because I've stood up too quickly after I've let it go, or because I brought my arm in too quickly after I've let it go. And I get much better results if I stay with it, if I follow through and I hold for 5 seconds. The third critical thing I talk to you about is off the mat. My bowl's finished. It's finished rolling. It's ended up wherever it's ended up. I now evaluate my process. This whole thing is called process. What did I like about it? And what do I need to improve for the next bowl I have? It's critical. If my line was a little wide, okay, I note that. If my focus wasn't where it should be, I note that. If I really liked the shot, then I note all the things that I did well for that particular shot. It's really a lost art to take kind of an evaluation of your shot after you make the shot. Okay, so what you'll notice here are a bunch of lines on the green, and I'm going to explain to you what they are. Remember, I'm a lefty. Okay, so I'm a lefty. So these lines represent my line of aim. Okay, and this is my left-hand line of aim. My forehand line of aim is down here. Don't worry about these two. I'm going to get back to it just a second, because it's one of my aha moments during my last couple of months. I thought, oh my gosh, I finally figured something out with my backhand. So there's my my line of aim. The orange string represents essentially where I let my bowl release, and the white is my line of aim. That center line right down the middle, that orange one, that marks the center line of the rink. And the objective is to get your bowl as close to that center line as possible when you release it and when it comes to rest. Okay, so let's see how it works. I'm going to step on the mat. I'm going to step off the mat. I'm going to get my line of aim, which I'm helped by the strings. By the way, those strings are a little further out than normal because I don't want the line to get in the way of the bowl. Step on the mat. Focus. Bingo. Okay, there you have it. That's my forehand. Now, that is about 26 meters down the track. What happens if you want to throw a bowl shorter distance? Do you still use the same line of aim? Yes, you do. Watch. Right. So physics and geometry come into play. Obviously, the farther you need to roll your bowl down the rink, the harder you need to roll it. But I've found that with my bowls on our rinks, my line of aim, my initial break point does not change. It does not change, which is good because that line of aim is only about 10 meters from me, about 15 yards from my where I am on the mat. So that allows me to be very consistent. Now, when I know that line of aim, that jack can go anywhere on the rink, and I'm confident that I can refine my line of aim because I'm going to practice this like crazy, and I know where my line is. Now listen, every rink has its variety, some narrow side, some wide side. We have it here too, and you have to adjust with those. So there's no like, this is the only thing, but this is what works for me. And I think it's proven to me that it's really helped my game a lot on the consistency. Now, so what I do to make a game out of this is I will roll bowls down my line of aim on my forehand, and for every bowl that is within one bowl's width, I give myself 3 points. For every bowl that finishes 2 widths away, I give myself 1 point. Pretty simple. To make this kind of more game-like, I'll say to myself, how quickly can I get to 10 points? And once I get to 10 points, how quickly can I get to 15 points or 20 points? So you can incorporate this into your routine. Now, I have to tell you, I don't take these lines out. You know, they're not there in the game, but it's a visual cue to help you understand kind of what's going on. Okay, so what's with these lines here? What's going on with these? Well, I can tell you that when I was bowling and I would stand on the center of the mat and I would roll my bowl, I would be flummoxed because on my backhand, my line seems to be different. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, of course, Jeff. And I'm going to bet that 99.5% of you know exactly what I'm about to do. But I'm the 0.5% that did not know. And so I thought I would share it with you and see, you know, if there's an aha moment there for you. So I discovered that if I'm on the center mat here and I'm bowling down this line of aim, great. And then I want to go down my backhand. The problem with my backhand, if I'm in the center of the mat, is that my bowl releases here on this orange string, which is 6 inches in from what this string would be. So I adapted my backhand so that I'm off the mat. 1 foot on, 1 foot off. And now when I roll, I can roll down that line and it's the same line with my backhand as it is with my forehand. You'll notice here again, there's 6 inches difference because 1 foot on and 1 foot off the mat. That got me thinking about all the different ways you can use the mat. You can stand off to one side with your forehand. On your backhand, you can use the very back of the mat. It changes very slightly your line of aim. So I'd encourage you to give that a try. How was that? I'm going to do up the practice plan for this. I've got it on my laptop, and I'm going to make it available for you. If you'd like to download the practice plan that I use to get my line of aim consistent, I'm happy to share it with you. All right. By the way, if you have any questions or any comments about what we're doing here on Island Bowls Live, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, until next time, I'm Jeff Poulton for Island Bowls Live. Keep 'em rolling.